I always sensed I had a power, an unusual ability, and that night was the last time I saw my mother's spirit. Delusional. Saturday morning, Calvin woke up to the smell of fresh coffee in the air. Morning. Finally, let me get your coffee. And by the way, you got an email from an obituary. You might want to take a look. An obituary? Curious. Calvin opened up the email and suddenly froze. Lena Johnson? She's no more? What is it, Calvin? I don't understand. How could she pass away? She was so young. Kate watched Calvin anxiously pace out on the balcony. He looked so shocked and hurt. The next day he didn't go to work. And almost the entire week, he didn't sleep. He stopped caring for himself. And he was always either immersed in his thoughts or searching up Lena Johnson. Who is this girl? And why is he obsessing about her? Calvin, you've been quite upset since you got that email. Who is she? Your ex? No, but a very dear friend. You never told me about her. What's bothering you? We met in senior year in high school almost 15 years ago. She used to be one of the happiest and fun-loving person. But after her mother passed away, she went into depression. She felt quiet, kept to herself. And then, one day, on one of our English presentations, Lena said something really strange. I always sensed I had a power, an unusual ability. And that night was the last time I saw my mother's spirit. She was serious. But everyone in the class began laughing and taunting her. And when I saw her tearing up, I felt I had to do something. I believe you. I could understand what she was going through. I lost my father a few years prior, and if there was anything I wished for, was if only I could communicate with him. And even if whatever she experienced might have been a delusion, if it gave her closure, then why not help her get over her grief? Since then, we became friends and got through a low point in our lives together. I lost my father to cancer a couple years ago. It was tough. I'm sorry. It's all right. So, what really happened that night? I can't explain it. It was almost like a dream, but so surreal. She spoke to me. Lena truly believed in the supernatural and thought she had a connection with the supernatural. And though sometimes I was skeptic, I went along with her. We used to visit fortune tellers, psychics, go to seances, trying to find someone who was genuine. fortune teller palm reading, $5. Want to check it out? Hello, dear. My name is Babushka Baba Yaga. You two lovers. No, we're not. Don't be shy now. Baba Yaga can sense what your heart yearns. I can read your divine destiny, but I'll need a valuable possession of yours. This watch will work fine. Beware. Beware, there is evil coming your way. You will soon be... But I know something that can protect you. Did she just rip this off her dress? This has been blessed by the spirits. It will bring you good luck. Solve all the problems in your life. At a price of only $19.99. Babushka Baba Yaga. Such a fraud. Hold on a minute. This isn't my watch. I guess she was right. You've been robbed. Should have taken that thread. We met a lot of people like Babushka Baba Yaga. But we went to this shop which was quite popular in town. We had to make an appointment to the psychic. Your name, address, phone number. We host seances, provide exorcisms, give accurate readings of the future. The next week when we came on our appointment, we were both surprised to see a girl, perhaps just a few years older than us. Welcome, my name is Marishka. Take a seat. You wish to speak to a loved one? Yes. Marishka began chanting some poetry, when suddenly the arrow began to move on its own, and it spelled out V-I-N. Your father, he's trying to communicate with you. My father used to call me Vin. My son, I am in a better place now. When I saw the arrow move, I was amazed. I couldn't believe my eyes. But it was suddenly that Lena got up. Calvin, it's not what you think. Please, do not disturb the dead. The consequences will be dire. Finn, I want you to be happy. But this time, as the arrow began to move, Lena lifted the cloth on the table and pulled out a magnet. What are you doing? This is all a show, Calvin. How dare you? Get out of here! Get out! I really thought she was genuine. How could she know about my father or what he used to call me? This is what these people do, Calvin. A week ago, they took your information. They must have spied on you and found out. You're right. And that's how our adventures continued, going from place to place, meeting different people and testing them out. But then, how did you lose touch with her? This one time, we went to a psychic woman and she said some bizarre things. Usually, Lena and I would agree, but this time, she thought the woman was genuine and I thought she was a fake. And we had a fallout. This is crazy. How can you believe her? Trust me, Calvin. I'm telling the truth. I sensed it. Of course, you sensed it. What do you mean, of course? I thought you believed me. Lena, I want to believe you, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense. So, you never believed me. You never believed me. Lena, I didn't mean that. Lena, listen to me. So, you feel guilty. I didn't want to hurt her. Calvin, you can't go on like this. You need closure. Perhaps if you visit her grave. So that weekend, Calvin caught a flight from California to a small town in Maine where Lena had been buried. It was a long journey, and when Calvin landed, the skies were rumbling with thunder. Nonetheless, he headed straight to the cemetery, putting the flowers on her grave. Calvin sighed. I'm really sorry, Lena. Did you know Lena? Caught by surprise, Calvin turned to see a man. I'm Dr. William Barnes, Lena's husband. Oh, what a coincidence. I'm Calvin Reeves, a friend of hers. Not really a coincidence, it's Sunday. I usually visit her after the sermon, but Lena never told me about you. We kind of lost in touch after school. How did you hear of her? I got an email from the obituary that someone I knew had passed away. When I found out it was her, I traveled here. Where are you from? California. Wow, that's a long way. Where are you staying here? I haven't booked in anywhere, but I'll probably just catch a flight tonight. No, I can't let you do that. You're a friend of my wife. Please, stay in our home tonight, and tomorrow you can return as you wish. As the rain began to pour heavier, Calvin agreed, and he and William drove back to their small townhouse. Calvin stood by the fireplace, drying up as William brought over some coffee for them. Please, have some coffee with me. Thank you. So, you and Lena were friends? Yes. You guys weren't dating, were you? Oh no, we were both going through a tough time. She had lost her mother and I didn't have a father. We were mourning our loved ones. So you were pretty close to her? Yes, we helped each other get over our grief. Perhaps this time you can help me get over my grief. William took a sip of his coffee, suddenly saying, By any chance, you weren't involved in her ghost hunting, were you? Oh, that. William chuckled. Even after she grew up, she didn't give up her hobby. Even after our marriage, she was hunting for ghosts. She had a fascination. Calvin chuckled. After some small talk that night, Calvin and William had dinner before he showed Calvin to the guest room. Listening to the rain, Calvin closed his eyes and tried to rest, but all he could remember were old memories of Lena. Her smile, her laughter, all flashed before his eyes until he started to doze off. As his vision darkened, however, Calvin began to see something shift before him. He rubbed his eyes, looking into the darkness to make out someone nearing him. Calvin, seeing you after so many years. Lena, you're alive? No, Calvin, I'm not alive. The only reason I'm able to visit you is because what you doubted about me wasn't false. I really did have powers. I'm not in your world anymore. I've passed on to a different world. Beyond. What happened to you? How could you die so soon? Calvin, did you forget what that woman told us? Come with me. As Lena drifted off through the darkness, Calvin followed her. In the rain, he went into the backyard, walking through the wet grass, until she stopped. You'll find a shovel in the shed. Dig here. Without a word, Calvin did so as the thunder bolted down and the winds swirled around him. He shoveled the dirt through the rain, and suddenly, he hit something hard. As Calvin uncovered the soil, he stumbled back in horror to see a skeleton. Whose body is this? Calvin, the woman we met that day, was not a fraud, and it was your destiny which has brought you here. Years ago, Lena and Calvin had visited a strange woman who lived on the outskirts of Havila in California. Welcome to my abode. What brings you here? Do you need a love potion? A good luck charm? Put a curse on someone? We want to know about our future. Very well. May I see your palm? My girlfriend is pregnant. Will she remain loyal to me? Your girlfriend? You don't even have a girlfriend. Lena poked at Calvin. Could you be more obvious? All right. When will I find my soulmate? Haven't you? But you don't have the courage to tell her. What? Who is it, Calvin? No one. All right. What is my biggest fear? That you won't be able to fulfill your mother's last wish. To be happy. Lena, the real reason you came here is because you were mourning your mother's loss. And you are here because you need closure from your father. Anyone could have found out our parents are no more. But can you tell us when we will die? When the woman looked into their palms, her face darkened as she said, You two are just kids, but no one can change destiny. You will have an early end, poisoned to death. And soon after her demise, you will be killed as well. That day, Lena had sensed the woman was genuine, but Calvin had not believed her. So, has my time come? But who will? Your husband is going to take my life? Calvin, just as no one can change destiny, no one can truly know what destiny is. As Calvin listened to Lena, all of a sudden, he heard a voice from the porch. What are you doing here? William walked out towards him, suddenly stopping to see what Calvin had discovered. Oh, two birds of a feather. So you have powers like her as well. Calvin nervously turned to look at Lena, but there was no one behind him. William sighed. What could I have done? I didn't have a choice but to kill her. When we got into a relationship, I understood she was different, but I didn't understand she had powers. And after we got married and I brought her here, I never expected she would find out the secrets of my past. Years before William met Lena, he was in a relationship with a young woman named Delilah. At the time, William wasn't prepared to settle in his life. But in all this, Delilah had become pregnant. William, let's get married. What? Marriage? I'm not ready for this. What do you mean? You can't leave me like this. This is your child. She threatened me, wanted to take me to court, defame me, and ruin my reputation. She left me with no choice. I had to take her life, and I hid her body here. No one suspected a thing for years, but when Lena came, she sensed something and soon communicated with her spirit. When she found out, she suddenly became quiet, started staying away from me, almost as if she were frightened. Lena, what happened? Why have you been so stressed lately? William, why? Why would you take her life? A woman who loved you with all her heart and soul? You took her life in a state when she was carrying your own child? What? What are you talking about? Her spirit reached out to me. Spirit? This is nonsense. Nothing like this happened. Lena, this is your imagination. Ever since your mother passed away, you've been living in this delusion. It's not real. But I realized she truly had powers, and if I didn't get rid of her, she would be the end of me. So I poisoned her coffee with a drug that wouldn't come on her autopsy reports. But you, my friend, had to ruin it all. I wish Lena never found out about Delilah, and I wish you never found out about Lena. But it's really not my fault. I had to do what I had to do. Calvin stepped back as William took out a knife from his pocket and approached him. But just as William was to charge, suddenly, the wind and rain blew against him. And all of a sudden, Lena appeared before him. No, William, you won't be able to harm him. Lena? Destiny. After a strange encounter with a long-lost friend, Calvin was finally returning home. But before he did, there was one thing he had to get off his chest. A secret he had kept far too long. I've always been in love with you, but if only I was able to tell you before. Rest in peace, Lena.
Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.